Church, I need something. I don't know what it is. It's a spirit. It's a rainy day. It's kind of a dreary day. I'm feeling kind of dreary. And I don't want to feel dreary. And I'm excited for the rest of the service. So we're going to take a minute. I'm looking at the time. We got time. Tell me something good that happened to you this week. Tell me something good in our community. Tell me something good in your life. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, really, just wherever you are. Gary, yeah. New grandbaby. Woohoo! Everybody healthy, happy, well? Yes. Fantastic. Congratulations, Mona and Gary. What else?
I painted a door.
You painted a door. Nathan, wonderful. Well done. What color did you paint it?
It's just primer. It's going to be red, though.
Oh, it's going to be red. Ooh, cool. Very nice. Very nice.
Can I cover?
What else? Aaron Huffman played his first round of golf with John and Steve. Well done. Well done. I heard he only lost, I won't say it out loud. You did great, babe. You did great. The number of golf balls. I'm not going to. Well done. How? 4. It was 4 golf balls. What else? Somebody else started to say something when John said that. Joanne.
Charity sewing started up again, and 5 people showed up, and we made 50 Barbie dresses.
50 Barbie dresses. Fantastic. It's wonderful. Rich Lusk.
We celebrated Carlos Rookie, he hit 3 homers.
3 homers. Fantastic. We're all cheering for that one.
We all woke up breathing today.
Yep. Yep. I think we can be grateful for that. One last one. Anybody? Lindsay. Lindsay and then Naomi.
We had an ice cream dinner as invited by the church.
Yes. Y'all, our incredible children's director, Angie, sent out families with children. She sent us all Cold Stone gift cards so that we could have an enjoyable moment, experience with our children this summer before school started. So it was Banks's first time having ice cream. Is that right, Lindsay? Yep. Got pictures and everything. So that's delightful, and thank you, Angie, for those. Naomi, you want to be our last one? Yeah? Was it delightful?
It was delightful. We drove the Natchez Trace.
Cool.
We recommended it.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm glad that it was safe and that you're back. Yeah, John, you want to do our last one?
My cataracts are gone.
John's cataracts are gone. What'd you say? Oh, John, we're not going to recognize you without your glasses, man. What are we going to do? I'm so glad to hear it, y'all. I'm so glad. There's a line in a book that I read recently that said maybe luck is really just an awareness of grace. Maybe the good things that happen to us are not actually luck. Maybe it's just our ability to be aware of the grace of God in our midst. I think sometimes I could do a better job of practicing my awareness of the grace of God in the midst of it all. Church, we are back with Elijah today. Last week, if you remember, I pulled a bit of a bait and switch. And we read verses about Elijah being up on a mountain with God, but really I spent most of the sermon talking about what came before he was up on the mountain with God. And we're going to actually revisit that again this week because there's a bit more to say about it, but it's mostly been inspired by conversations that I've had with you over the last week as we talked about it. So we're going to start today by reading the actual verses that we'll be talking about in the sermon. So if you'd like, you can turn to 1 Kings with me. We're going to be in 1 Kings 19. And I believe we also have them up here on the screen if you would just like to read along. Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there while he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness. He came to a broom bush, sat down under it, and prayed that he might die. I have had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. Then he lay down under the bush and fell asleep. All at once, an angel touched him and said, "Get up and eat." Elijah looked around, and there, by his head, was some bread baked over hot coals and a jar of water. He ate and drank and then lay down again. Then the angel of the Lord came a second time and touched him and said, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." So he got up and ate and drank. Strengthened by that food, he traveled 40 days and 40 nights until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. There he went into a cave and spent the night. The Spirit is speaking to the church. Thanks be to God. Aaron and I had friends in town this weekend, and we had discussed making French toast for breakfast on Saturday morning, and I knew that we needed a few ingredients in order to do that. So I set my alarm for really early on Saturday so that I could get up and go to the Schnucks and buy really just eggs and bread. That was all we needed, but those are kind of the main ingredients for French toast. So I was going to go buy us some eggs and bread. When I got up, though, they weren't there. Their car was gone. So I gave them a call, and it turns out that they had already been up for over an hour at that point, and they decided to go to the store and pick up the ingredients we needed. And at first I felt a little bad because I was supposed to be the hostess, right? They were at my house, but I was like, it's just bread and eggs. It'll be fine. But when they got back to my house, not only did they have bread and eggs, they also had cantaloupe and strawberries and watermelon and bacon and whipped cream and coffee creamer. And they also had 3 different balloons, one for each of my children. And they also had a bouquet of flowers with a balloon in it for me because my birthday's in 2 weeks and they weren't going to be here for that. So they decided to just celebrate it yesterday. So my friend looked at me and she said, "We're going to have a birthday breakfast." And she instructed me and Aaron to sit in the kitchen while they baked all the food for us. So we sat and we chatted while Kelsey and Matt went to work in our kitchen, slicing and baking and fixing all the things. And then they set it all out on the table, and it was like, y'all, it was a veritable feast. Like a plate piled, it was the leaning tower of French toast, because that's how much there was. Like a plate piled high with French toast, and not one, but 2 different styles of bacon, and they'd cut up all the strawberries and the cantaloupe and the watermelon, and they laid out the syrup and the whipped cream, and we had our coffee, and they had put the plates and the forks all on the table, and then my friend invited us all to the table for the birthday breakfast. In our scripture today, that angel showed up when Elijah was in his wilderness and baked him bread. It was no French toast with 2 types of bacon, but there were some similarities. And it's a cool miracle, right? Like an angel, like Elijah's in the middle of the desert, and an angel just shows up to care for him in one of his most difficult moments. And maybe we picture the angel showing up and like summoning the bread and summoning the jar of water and having them appear out of nowhere and then tapping Elijah on the shoulder and waking him up and telling him to eat. Maybe that's how it happened. But I keep coming back to verse 6, to those hot coals. Did you catch that little detail? Elijah looked around, and there by his head was some bread baking over hot coals. And if the angel simply summoned the bread, why do we need the hot coals? To keep it warm? Maybe, but y'all, do we really think that an angel of God who could make bread appear out of nowhere couldn't also make the bread warm? Like, that's where God draws the line. Listen, angel, you can summon the bread, but it will be room temperature. And if you would like it heated up, you're going to have to do that yourself. Like, is that kind of what we think? What if the angel didn't actually summon the bread? What if the angel didn't actually summon the bread? What if the angel actually made the bread? Imagine this with me for a second. An angel of the Lord, this powerful supernatural being, goes to gather coals and brings them to where Elijah is passed out under this bush from exhaustion and fear. And the angel arranges them just so and then sets them to burn. And then perhaps the angel has gathered all of the ingredients, pulled them out of a satchel, and takes time to grind the wheat and to mix it with the water and with salt and the other ingredients. And then comes the kneading of the bread and the shaping of the loaf and the gentle placement over the coals. What if it happened like that? And does it change anything for you if it did? The angel just summoning the bread to appear out of nowhere versus the angel taking the time and the effort to make the bread there in the desert. Which image is more impactful for you? And why? If you remember last week, Aaron Mutnick shared a story with us about his third year of law school, his own form of wilderness. And he named that God didn't show up for him in any miraculous way per se, but that one of the things that helped him get through that time was his small group. They gathered once a week. They had dinner together. I'm assuming they had a Bible study or other conversations about faith and life. Aaron, yeah. And Aaron and I kept our conversation going this week, and he told me, and he gave me permission to share this with you, but he told me that the story of the angel in the wilderness doesn't really resonate with him because there's no community involved. As much as he'd love to believe in miraculous angel appearances, he thinks that God is more likely to show up in community. And I put show up in quotes, and Aaron put show up in quotes too, because we know that God doesn't actually show up. We know, we've said it before, that God is always present and at work. God is always present with us. So it's not that God shows up, it's that we wake up to what God is doing. For these one or two moments, these one or two times, we are able to see, to have that luck, right? That awareness of grace of what God is doing, that God is with us. And Aaron's point was that one of the ways we do this, one of the ways we build the muscle of being able to identify God present and at work, one of the ways we do this is by showing up in community, in relationships. And in Aaron's story, there were two acts of agency. Agency, meaning when we are the agents of our own lives, we make the choices, right? There were two acts of agency, acts of choosing to show up at the table. And the first was the part of the small group community. Making the plans, setting the table, arranging the evening, inviting everyone over. That's the effort, right? That's the intention, the invitation, the cooking, the prepping, the anticipating. But the second act of agency was Aaron's. Aaron received the invitation, but he still had the choice as to whether or not to show up. He could have decided that he was just too busy, that he was too burdened, that law school was too hard for him to go and do this thing. He didn't have the time to take. Elijah could have said no when the angel told him to get up and eat. He could have said, I'm too mad. I'm not feeling good. I don't want to do this. Church, we know, and I was reminded again this week, that the table of Christ is a table set with intention and effort. Christ's life and death and resurrection, those are the intention and the effort. All of that is symbolized by this table, by this communion table that we're going to participate in just a few minutes. And we are invited not just to the table, but we are invited to let the table nourish us, to let the table sustain us, to let that table give us the stuff of life. And that doesn't just happen through bread and wine, or juice in our case. It wasn't just about whatever y'all would eat for dinner, Aaron. Spaghetti and French bread, or you're in Texas, so enchiladas and tortilla chips, right? It doesn't just happen through the French toast. Doesn't matter how many types of bacon there were. The stuff of life, the sustenance, the nourishment also came from the people sitting around that table with us. They also came from the community They came from the relationships and the connection. My friend Kelsey, when she invited us to the birthday breakfast, she was excited. There was joy on her face. Even after she woke up early, went to the grocery store, bought all the stuff, came back to my house, made it, slightly entertained my children with whipped cream while she was doing it. But by the time it got to invite us to that table, she and Matt were so excited. Come on, come sit at the breakfast brunch, birthday breakfast brunch, whatever she called it. There was joy there. I imagine that the host of Aaron's small group also found joy in inviting everyone to the table too. In my small group here at Dayspring, our Hello, My Name is Jesus group, Susie Bowman makes dessert every time, and she seems to be happy about it. I'm like, was this a burden for you? She's like, oh no, I loved this, and they're all phenomenal. Her gooey butter cake is the best gooey butter cake I've ever had in the last 4 years. These people, these experiences that I've had or that I've heard of regarding like real community, like people gathered together and working hard to care and love for one another, those experiences have actually changed my perception of God. It's not that God changed my perception of them, which I'm sure has happened, but it's that those experiences have helped me see God in a new way. They have. Because now I don't just picture an angel summoning hot coals out of nowhere, summoning bread, and be like, drink the water, Elijah, you're exhausted. You need the food. You have 40 more days. Would you just please get up and do it so that I can get out of here? I don't see that. Now I see an angel on behalf of God lovingly taking time to prepare this because the angel cares about Elijah. I see an angel doing this like with joy because the angel knows that Elijah is going to receive nourishment and sustenance and it's going to be okay. It's going to get better. I think that the angel did it with joy just like Susie makes desserts with joy. And just like my friends Matt and Kelsey made breakfast with joy. And just like you all smile at each other when you see each other on a Sunday morning. You smile at me. Sometimes, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off and you're still like, hey, Andrea, good to see you. And I'm like, oh, I need to pause for a second. That was really nice. Thank you. I love it. I love the joy that community can bring. And I think that joy is a reflection of God. The table of Christ is often a very reverent thing, right? It's often it's quiet. It's like you and God personally, and you take the things, and we're, doing this in remembrance of Jesus, right? That's what it says on our table. And I think there's definitely a time and place for that, and that is good. I'm not saying that's bad. But just what's sticking out to me today, and what I hope we'll experience when we come to the table today, is that when we do this thing in remembrance of Jesus, we will remember that Jesus invited everyone to the table. We'll remember that Jesus not only welcomes us to the table, but wants us at the table. And that Jesus invites us with joy, is eager to bring us in to his feast that he has set for us, to the nourishment and the sustenance that he offers. My prayer is that God would be for us and that we would be for one another the sustaining nourishment through our innumerable wildernesses. I'm going to say that one more time. My prayer is that God would be for us and we would be for each other the sustaining nourishment through innumerable wildernesses. Amen.